Okay, let's dive into this. When we think about marketing strategy today, our minds almost instantly jump to, well, the whole shebang of modern tech, right? Massive data centers, predictive algorithms, A/B testing, and of course, incredibly expensive formal training. We've kind of built this entire industry around the idea that without complex behavioral models, marketing literally couldn't exist. We assume it's this completely modern invention. But what if the most fundamental, foundational secrets to selling were actually mastered centuries ago? Today's explainer takes a look at a really unique, thought-provoking concept: intuition and the ancient art of marketing strategy. We're going to unpack how early merchants built absolute empires purely on intuition, way before the internet or focus groups were even a glint in a marketer's eye.
Just think about those classical marketers for a second. The folks who moved exotic goods across entire continents, setting up the very first global trade routes. They were negotiating with kings and commoners alike, right? But here is the crazy part. They never joined any universities. They never attended any training. Absolutely zero formal education. These historical figures laid down the absolute bedrock of commerce, yet they didn't have degrees in consumer behavior. No certification courses, no weekend webinars, nothing. Yet they successfully ran wildly complex marketing activities. They built incredibly loyal customer bases spanning generations, secured massive supply chains across hostile territories, and they did it all without ever stepping foot inside a classroom. It's absolutely wild when you really think about it.
And that brings us to the core concept we're unpacking today: common sense marketing. Basically, this is a specialized training module that examines exactly how classical marketers intuitively put together their plans and actually implemented their strategies. It's not about memorizing modern business jargon, no way. It's asking us to look directly at how an ancient trader mapped out a massive goal, like say bringing a brand new, never-before-seen fabric to a highly skeptical market, and then executed it right there on the ground. How'd they convince people to buy it? Well, this module is all about peeling back the overwhelming layers of our modern complexity to observe the raw, intuitive machinery underneath their success.
Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is the massive cognitive dissonance it creates. I mean, we live in an era where becoming a marketer seems to require a mountain of degrees and constant, endless upskilling. The modern expectation is that marketing is this rigid, highly academic science. Like, if you don't know the math, you can't play the game. Actually, scratch that. It's more like we think you shouldn't even be allowed on the field. Yet, the ancient reality presents a totally different picture. These classical practitioners conducted intricate, large-scale marketing plans and highly effective cross-cultural strategies without a single day of formal training. There's just this massive gap between what we assume is strictly necessary today and what actually worked, and worked brilliantly, in the past.
Which poses a really massive question for us. If they had absolutely no formal training, how in the world did ancient marketers run their activities so exceptionally well? Seriously, think about the logistical nightmares they were dealing with. How did a merchant in the first century manage totally unpredictable supply and demand? How did they know exactly what to charge for spices in a brand new territory when they had absolutely zero market research data to fall back on? How'd they communicate the value of their goods to buyers who didn't even speak the same language? This is the exact puzzle participants in this module are asked to solve. We have to figure out what unseen force was guiding those incredible, split-second decisions in the marketplace.
So, to unravel this historical puzzle, we basically have to retrace their steps. First up, we look at reverse engineering their overarching plans. Like, what were their ultimate goals when they first sailed into a new city or trading port? From there, we zoom in on the physical implementation on the ground. How did they actually set up their stalls? How did they interact with that very first person who walked by? How did they handle objections on the fly without a pre-written script? Only after observing all these granular actions can we really start to isolate that final invisible force. By meticulously tracing their journey, we start to see the underlying logic that made the whole thing work so seamlessly.
So, the crucial point is, that ultimate secret isn't some magical formula. It's not a forgotten piece of ancient technology, it's simply common sense. But, hold on, we aren't just talking about your basic everyday logic here. In the context of this module, common sense is treated as a highly tuned intuition. It is a deep, relentlessly observant understanding of human nature. Think of a seasoned merchant reading a buyer's body language to adjust the price right there on the fly, or spotting a community's unspoken need and finding the exact perfect product to fulfill it. It's that innate ability to read a customer and communicate value through sheer empathy and observation. They had a profound grasp of this intuition, and investigating it, well, it allows us to rediscover the absolute foundational principles of human exchange. So, I want to leave you with this thought to chew on. Look at your own daily work. What common sense are you ignoring in your own marketing strategy? Seriously, in our massive modern rush to rely on the newest software, the latest university studies, or those super complex data models, what basic human intuition are we just completely leaving behind? Are we getting so obsessed with the algorithm that we've forgotten how to actually talk to a human being or observe what they truly need? Sometimes, as this deep dive into classical marketers shows us, the absolute most advanced strategies are the ones that have been sitting right there with us since the very beginning. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I will leave you to think on that.